All right, guys, we want to welcome you back for this week's Trick Tip Tuesday. And I'm going to start off this week's tip by telling you that we want your ideas. So, a lot of these tips that we just come up with on the spot, and, I try to use some of my fabrication background to, obviously come up with some stuff to teach you guys. But I know that there's a lot of stuff that you guys want tips on, quick how-tos, that sort of thing that will help you in your shop. So, we have a new email set up. It's tips@Trick-Tools.com. So we'll put that up on the screen there. You can send an email to us and we will come up with a list of tips and things that you guys want to see to be featured on Trick Tip Tuesday. So send us your ideas. We try to keep these, I try to keep them under 5 minutes long. Sometimes they definitely get longer than that, but something quick and easy that's easy to watch, that a topic can maybe be covered in that amount of time. So sorry, I'm not going to be able to show you how to chop the top on a car or something like that, but something quick that maybe you're struggling with in your shop that you want to tip on, and I can help you out with that. So tips@Trick-Tools.com. Send us an email and we'll get that handled. So got a tip idea from somebody about tracking on an English wheel. So essentially what that means, I know we've done a couple of English wheel videos, so we'll make this quick, but some tips on tracking on an English wheel. So, if you've never messed with an English wheel, or if you're just getting started, it can be a little bit confusing trying to make sure that your lines as you're running your panel back and forth are right next to each other, nice and close, so you can get a nice smooth finish on your part, and your steering's pretty easy. So with that, I've got a sheet of 18 gauge steel here. So when I put this in the wheel, I'm going to bump up some pressure on here, not too much. So to show you how to get from one end of the panel to the other while being able to wheel, nice lines right next to each other, a tip that I use, when I first started especially, was to make as little movements as possible. So what I mean is, when you push your panel through, in order to steer to stay right next to where you just ran, you just need a little movement of the panel. So just a little movement and you'll be able to bring it right back, and it doesn't look like you've really changed much, but you have. So then a little movement of your arms, one way or the other, depending on which way you're trying to steer. So it's kind of the opposite movements. So when I get down to here, I want to bring the panel and the wheel line to the right of where I just wheeled here. So I want to steer by pushing my hands to the left. So if I push my hands to the left, track back this way, it's going to move the wheel further over. So, and when I was first learning, and what I've always found to be helpful for other people too, when talking to them, is starting off slow. Just move your panel nice and slow. That way you can focus on where the tracking marks are on your panel and staying right next to where you just wheeled. So for example, so I'm going to wheel back to this first side of the panel here, and I'll show you how quick it is to get from here to here by steering too much. So if I push down here, turn, 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 next thing you know, I'm across the whole panel, and I've got these kind of zigzag Z lines in my panel. So by turning too much and moving the panel too much, like this, you can steer really far, and you're just creating weird lines in your panel. So in order to create a nice even product on the English wheel and stretching a curve, you want to do little movements, stay right next to each other, just little movements. And then another thing I would say on tracking would be, in order to get the most even product, and I guess it depends on how exactly you need your panel to stretch, but kind of cross wheeling in a different direction across your panel is good for being able to keep all your stretching as even as possible. So what I mean by that is, once if you're wheeling, you get down through your panel, and you've created these lines this way. So in theory, if you were to really look at the anatomy of the metal up close, you would see these lines where the metal has been stretched in this direction. So and if you say your paths where you ran your wheels were a little bit apart, you would technically have these two areas stretched with a gap in the middle that wasn't stretched. So in order to help even all that out, you turn the panel either 90 degrees to it. You can roll it 90 degrees this way, roll the panel back and forth, and you can even do like a 45 angle. So turn the panel at 45 degrees. You're going to wheel back and forth this way, and then you can even go 45 the other way. So like I said, this all is going to depend on, you know, what exactly you're making and the shape you're trying to acquire. But there's just some tips on tracking and how to get an even product and how to be able to track on a panel, you know, as close as you can, you know, side by side as you're working down a part without steering, you know, too crazy one way or the other and working yourself across the panel back and forth and just creating a bunch of odd zigzag lines. So yeah, hopefully this tip helps you out. Again, we need your ideas. Trick Tip Tuesday, tips@Trick-Tools.com, and send us an email and we'll see what we can do to get a tip on the next video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.